First up, the 1939 Abraham wheat. 1 cent is often overlooked by many collectors, but when paired with unique conditions like damage and a mint mark, it can demand impressive prices in today's auction market. In the early 20th century, the U.S. economy was evolving in significant ways. The 1930s, particularly during the Great Depression, saw a major shift in the minting of coins. In 1939, the United States experienced a period of economic recovery, and many of the coins minted that year, including the Lincoln wheat penny, were intended to symbolize the rebirth of the nation's economy. The mintage of the 1939 penny is estimated at around 684 million, making it one of the more common years in terms of circulation. Yet there are a number of variations that make this penny worth significantly more than its face value. However, the coin in question here is not just any regular 1939 penny. It is a damaged date version with a D-mint mark in damage condition. It's the unique imperfections of this coin that make it stand out among the masses of other 1939 wheat pennies. The design of the 1939 wheat penny is familiar to many collectors, as it retains the classic look of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series that ran from 1909 to 1958. On the obverse, you'll find a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln is depicted facing left with the words "Liberty" and the year of minting, 1939, to his right. Above the portrait, the inscription, "In God We Trust," can be seen. For the coin in question here, it has a D mint mark, which indicates it was minted in Denver. The mint mark is located on the reverse of the coin, next to the E in United States. The main difference with this coin is its damage. Coins that are damaged, whether through environmental exposure, mishandling, or being struck by a foreign object, can significantly affect their value. For example, the 1939 penny's damage date means that the year on the coin has been partially worn away, making it harder to identify. This kind of imperfection can decrease the coin's desirability for some collectors who prefer pristine coins. However, there's a growing segment of coin collectors who specifically seek out damaged coins because they hold their own unique historical significance. These damaged coins can tell stories about their journey through circulation, as no two damaged coins are the same. The primary reason that this coin is highly valuable in today's auction market is due to its unique condition. When combined with the D mint mark, which is known to have been produced in limited quantities compared to coins minted in Philadelphia or San Francisco, this damaged 1939 wheat penny offers something rare. Additionally, the damaged date creates an error that attracts collectors interested in irregularities in coin production. Collectors who specialize in error coins will find this example particularly enticing. It's important to note that error coins can hold significant value because they are anomalies in the minting process. The irregularities often make them stand out from more traditional coins, which increases demand and, consequently, their market value. In today's auction market, this coin could fetch a higher price than other 1939 pennies in better condition simply because of the damage date and mint mark. It's the sort of coin that piques the curiosity of collectors who want to diversify their collection with more unusual and rare specimens. When assessing the market value of this specific coin, we must consider the rarity of the damage and the mint mark, as well as the current state of the coin market. Coins in damaged condition typically don't fetch as high a price as pristine specimens, but in the world of rare coins, the unique characteristics of a damaged coin often lead to an increase in value. In auction settings, this 1939 Abraham wheat, 1 cent with a D mint mark in damage condition could range anywhere from $89,000 depending on factors like how well the coin is preserved despite the damage and how aggressively it is marketed to potential buyers. To some collectors, a coin in damage condition is a conversational piece, something that sets it apart from the standard examples in their collection. Auction prices for coins like this have shown an increasing trend in recent years as interest in the imperfection and the story it tells grows. Next up, the Washington Quarter's legacy continued strong into the 1980s, but one of the most interesting stories comes from the 1980 issue. Notably, the 1980 Washington Quarter with the P mint mark error is a coin that continues to spark interest in the numismatic world due to its rarity, historical significance, and the unique error that it carries. The year 1980 saw the introduction of a new method for minting coins at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced many coins with unintentional minting errors, such as the well-known P error on the Washington quarter. These errors often occur due to issues in the machinery or misalignment during the coin striking process, and they add a level of uniqueness and intrigue for collectors. These types of errors are one of the reasons collectors are so drawn to coins from this era. The design of the 1980 Washington quarter is very much in line with its predecessors, featuring George Washington's portrait on the obverse and an eagle in flight on the reverse. The design is timeless, and it remained consistent with prior years until the introduction of the State Quarter series in 1999. However, the defining feature of this specific coin is the error, where the P mint mark, instead of the expected D mint mark for Denver, or no mint mark for Philadelphia, was mistakenly placed on the coin. The P mint mark is rare, especially on coins struck in the 1980s. When examining the 1980 Washington quarter with the P mint mark error, collectors and enthusiasts often find that the minting process was less precise during this era, leading to this error becoming more prominent. The 1980 Washington quarter had a total mintage of over 500 million coins across multiple minting facilities, but the error associated with the P mint mark has created a niche demand among collectors. As with many errors, the rarity of finding an example in good condition is what drives the coin's value. Although the overall mintage was high, coins with the P error mint mark in fine condition are harder to come by. With a mintage of hundreds of millions, only a small fraction of these coins were struck with the error and retained in fine condition. Finding one in fine condition is therefore a rare event that adds immense value to the coin in the auction market. In today's auction market, the 1980 Washington quarter with the P mint mark error in fine condition has seen a steady increase in value. This specific error coin can sell for anywhere between $55,000 or more, depending on its condition and demand. Coins that are graded higher, such as those with extra fine or uncirculated condition, can fetch significantly more. As collectors seek to complete their Washington quarter collections, the 1980p error mint mark coin continues to be a sought-after piece. Its value is amplified by the interest in error coins and the increased focus on acquiring coins with unusual and rare minting mistakes. The P mint mark error on the 1980 Washington quarter is one of the standout mistakes of the era and has drawn significant attention from error coin collectors. Errors in minting occur due to a range of reasons, and a coin with an unusual feature like this always garners interest. Error collectors often focus on coins with mistakes like this, and because the coin is still in fine condition, it adds even more interest for those pursuing error coins in good shape. Many collectors enjoy the challenge of finding error coins, especially those from well-known series like the Washington quarter. This 1980 example has become a symbol of the intriguing and often unpredictable nature of coin production, and its error status only adds to its desirability and value. Next up. Now, let's take a closer look at the 1935 Abraham Wheat 1 cent, which is another highly prized penny in today's market. This coin, although minted years earlier than the 1939 penny, carries its own unique traits that make it valuable to collectors, especially in its damaged state with a D mint mark. The 1930s were a pivotal time in American history, as the country was still struggling with the effects of the Great Depression. The 1935 penny is a product of that era, and it carries a historical weight that goes beyond its simple design. With over 200,001,935 pennies minted, it is not exactly rare in terms of its mintage numbers. However, this particular coin is far from ordinary. This 1935 Abraham Wheat 1 cent is notable for its lamination damage, a condition that occurs during the minting process. Lamination errors happen when the metal layers of the coin do not properly bond together, creating a separation or peeling effect. When combined with the D mint mark, this coin becomes even more fascinating because the mint mark is indicative of its origin from the Denver Mint, where quality control was more stringent than at other mints. Like the 1939 penny, the 1935 wheat penny shares the same iconic design. On the obverse, President Abraham Lincoln is featured in a classic profile, facing left. The year 1935 is stamped just below his bust, and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" are inscribed on either side of Lincoln's portrait. The obverse design captures Lincoln's significance in American history, as this is the centennial year of his birth. For this specific coin, the D mint mark is located on the reverse side, just above the word cent. The mint mark on this coin indicates that it was produced at the Denver Mint, a location known for producing a significant portion of U.S. coinage during the 1930s. As mentioned, the coin features lamination damage, which is considered an error in the minting process. Lamination errors can vary in severity, and the condition of this coin, dirty as it may be, makes it unique. When considering collector interest, there are several key aspects that come into play. Lamination errors are sought after by collectors of error coins, who are often looking for specimens that display manufacturing defects. These errors are not intentional, which makes them all the more intriguing to collectors who enjoy the hunt for rare, irregular coins. Collectors of coins like this view the 1935 Abraham Wheat penny with lamination damage as a piece of history that adds a level of intrigue and authenticity to any collection. Furthermore, the D mint mark adds an extra layer of desirability to this coin. Denver minted coins are often viewed with particular interest by collectors, especially when they feature rare errors or unique conditions. The presence of the mint mark only enhances the coin's appeal. As for the current market value, the 1935 Abraham Wheat 1 cent with lamination damage is a coin that holds substantial value in today's auction market. In its dirty condition, it might fetch a price of around $56,000 depending on the severity of the lamination error and the amount of interest from buyers. Interestingly, lamination damage can often increase the value of a coin as much as, or even more than, pristine examples, particularly when coupled with the coin's historical context and minting information. Prices for these types of coins have remained relatively strong in auction markets, especially as the demand for unique error coins continues to rise. Next up, 1985 quarter dollar. The Washington quarter, first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, has undergone several design changes throughout its history. The series itself has been highly popular among collectors due to its rich history, design, and the role it played in American coinage. By the time we hit the 1980s, the Washington quarter was already a well-established coin in the series, but certain years and specific variations of the coin have proven to be exceptionally valuable in the modern market. The 1985 Washington quarter dollar, with the large date and D mint mark, is one such example. Minted at the Denver Mint, this coin is considered rare in uncirculated condition. In general, the Washington quarter series from the 1980s was produced in large quantities, but the pristine condition and special features of the 1985 make it stand out among other dates. The design of the 1985 Washington quarter follows the standard pattern established by John Flanagan, which features a profile of George Washington on the obverse front, and an eagle in flight with a ribbon inscribed with E pluribus unum on the reverse back. While this design is iconic and hasn't changed since its introduction, variations like the large date and mint mark distinctions add a layer of complexity for collectors. The large date on the 1985 version refers to the numerical figures of 1985 being significantly larger than on previous issues, which became a notable distinguishing feature for those looking to identify this specific coin. The D mint mark indicates that it was struck at the Denver Mint, which also adds value for collectors interested in minting locations. The 1985 Washington quarter was produced in significant quantities, with over 500 million coins being minted between the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. However, the coin in uncirculated condition, especially one with a D mint mark and large date feature, is significantly rarer. Collectors generally look for coins in exceptional condition, and the 1985 D mint mark coin stands out because of its relatively limited availability in uncirculated states. The uncirculated coins are those that have never been in circulation and retain their original mint luster and sharp features. In today's market, uncirculated 1985 Washington quarters with a D mint mark are highly sought after because they are in a near-perfect state, which is ideal for collectors and investors alike. It's important to note that the condition of the coin, such as being uncirculated, plays a pivotal role in its valuation. In the current auction market, the 1985 Washington quarter with a D mint mark in uncirculated condition is worth a considerable amount of money. While the average circulated version of this coin may only fetch thousands of dollars, a high-grade, uncirculated specimen can sell for upwards of $60,000 or more, depending on the quality and demand at the time of the auction. The value can increase significantly for coins that have been professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC, which can authenticate and provide an official grade confirming the coin's uncirculated condition. The key to the value of this coin lies in its rarity in pristine condition. A mint state, uncirculated 1985 Washington quarter is a gem in the eyes of collectors who are hunting for high-grade specimens from the 1980s. Auction prices fluctuate based on current market demand, but this particular coin's value has steadily grown due to its combination of historical relevance, distinct design features, and the general demand for mint state quarters. While the 1985 Washington quarter is not necessarily known for significant errors like some other years, it has attracted attention due to its large date feature and high demand for high-quality specimens. Collectors are keen on acquiring uncirculated or near-perfect examples, particularly those that come from the Denver Mint. Coins in this condition are rare finds, and the market interest for them continues to grow. For those who specialize in Washington quarter dollars, the 1985 D Mint Mark version is a must-have in any serious collection. Its historical significance, combined with its design appeal, makes it a highly coveted coin for those who enjoy collecting U.S. coins from the modern era. Next up, the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most iconic coins in American numismatics, featuring the beloved image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat ears design on the reverse. Produced between 1909 and 1958, these coins are an essential part of every coin collector's portfolio. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, particularly with a D mint mark, holds a special place in the market, especially when it is in a rare condition, even one as unique as the full dirty condition we're discussing here. The 1952 penny was part of the final decades of the Wheat Penny series, which was known for its design by artist Victor David Brenner. The Wheat Penny's distinctive reverse design, with two ears of wheat surrounding the phrase E pluribus unum, was beloved by collectors and has stood the test of time. While the 1952 coin itself isn't as rare as some of the earlier years, the condition in which it exists today can have a huge impact on its market value. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny has the familiar design elements seen throughout the entire series. On the obverse, we see President Abraham Lincoln's portrait, created by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's face is designed in profile, with the date 1952 and the word Liberty to the left of his bust. The motto, "In God We Trust," is prominently displayed above Lincoln's head. The reverse of the coin features two stalks of wheat arranged symmetrically on either side of the coin's denomination, 1 cent. The words United States of America curve along the top of the coin, and the motto E pluribus unum appears near the bottom. The D mint mark, which stands for the Denver Mint, is located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. While not particularly rare in terms of its mintage, the presence of the mint mark does indicate the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is important for collectors seeking a complete collection of Lincoln pennies with various mint marks. Now, you may be wondering, how does a 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D mint mark in full dirty condition fare in today's market? While most people would consider a dirty coin to be in poor condition, it's important to remember that some collectors are particularly interested in coins that tell a story. Coins with dirt, stains, or oxidation marks can sometimes sell for significantly higher prices if they are perceived to have certain qualities, such as being rare or carrying a historical connection. In today's auction market, a 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny in full dirty condition can sell for anywhere between $39,000 depending on the specifics of the coin. If the coin has significant wear, rust, or dirt that makes it less desirable for the traditional collector, it may fetch a price closer to the lower end of the spectrum. However, for collectors who specialize in problem coins or seek unique pieces, These coins can have considerable interest, especially if they have been well documented or are part of a larger collection. The dirt on this particular coin may detract from its aesthetic appeal, but could make it more attractive to those searching for coins with a unique and storied appearance. For example, if the coin has been kept in a particularly unique environment, such as being unearthed from a historical site or stored in a way that caused certain specific kinds of corrosion, it could attract collectors of damaged or non-graded coins. That said, in most cases, collectors still prefer coins to be in clean, well-maintained condition for investment purposes, so the market value for a coin in this state is a bit lower than a pristine example. While the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny is not known for major mint errors, certain unique features can drive up the value of individual coins. A penny that is heavily tarnished or stained due to exposure to elements over time can be considered unique, but it is crucial to assess whether there are any errors present, such as a double die or misstrike. These types of errors are what really send the prices for certain coins soaring. For example, if a 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny had an unusual misstrike or a doubled mint mark, the value could potentially skyrocket. However, in the case of a dirty coin without such errors, the collector interest will be more focused on its condition, rarity, and any potential historical backstory that could accompany the piece. The collector interest in dirty or damaged coins tends to be niche but significant. Many collectors are drawn to coins that tell a story, whether that's through its original condition or the path it has traveled over the years. Coins like this one, which show the marks of history, could appeal to collectors who prefer the rugged or aged look. For the right buyer, this 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny with the D mint mark could become a valuable addition to their collection, especially if they are focused on coins with unusual conditions or rare characteristics. Next up, discussing the 1990 Washington quarter, focusing on its release within the broader timeline of the coin's history. Explain that, unlike the 1998 coins which were part of the state quarter program, the 1990 Washington quarter was produced as part of the regular circulation coinage. It represents a period before the state quarter series began in 1999. Talk about the Washington quarter's role in U.S. coinage during the late 20th century and the economic context of the 1990s. Include how coinage production was ramping up at this time due to growing populations and the increased need for circulating currency. Delve into the current market value of the 1990 Washington quarter, with the D mint mark in extra fine condition. Discuss how this coin is sought after due to its relative scarcity compared to other years of the same denomination. Mention the specific price range for this coin in extra fine condition, citing auction results where applicable. Provide comparisons with other Washington quarters from the same era, and discuss how the coin's mint mark D for Denver plays a role in its desirability. Explain why certain mint marks, like the D mint mark, have a higher collector interest due to their regional origin and lower production figures in some years. Discuss the design elements of the 1990 Washington quarter, including the features that collectors look for. While this is a standard issue quarter, mention any design quirks, such as slight variations in the engraving or striking process that might make a particular coin stand out. Elaborate on any errors or minting defects that are known to occur with 1990 Washington quarters. Common errors might include off-center strikes or misalignments, which are often highly coveted by collectors. Explain how these errors affect the market value and how collectors seek out the rarest examples. Discuss the collector interest in the 1990 Washington quarter with the D mint mark. Explain that while the 1990 coin isn't part of a special program like the state quarters, it still enjoys a steady interest from collectors who focus on specific years, mint marks, and coin conditions. Talk about how certain collectors may focus specifically on mint marks, and how having a well-preserved D mint mark coin in extra fine condition could be an excellent addition to any serious collection. Explain the potential for future value appreciation for coins from this era, particularly as fewer of these coins remain in high grades. Next up, the year 1944 was a time of great significance in the United States, as the country was deeply involved in World War II. As a result, many coins minted in the 1940s were struck during wartime production with varying levels of detail. The 1944 Abraham Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark is one such example of wartime production that has continued to capture the interest of collectors. Interestingly, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny is one of the last years for the traditional copper-based design before the U.S. Mint shifted to using steel pennies in 1943 and later introduced the memorial design in 1959. In the years following, the U.S. Mint went through several variations of penny designs, but the wheat penny remained a classic for collectors. The absence of the mint mark on the 1944 penny is another significant feature, as it indicates that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This lack of mint mark, in combination with the coin's design features, makes it a highly sought-after piece for collectors aiming to complete a full set of Lincoln Wheat pennies. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny features the same basic design as the rest of the Wheat penny series, including the iconic portrait of President Lincoln. However, in this case, the coin in question has a damaged date, which presents an interesting case for collectors. The damaged date is most likely the result of mishandling or contact with harsh environments over time, leading to wear and corrosion that obscured or altered the date. While not an error in the traditional sense, this damage adds to the coin's uniqueness, making it more desirable for those collectors who specialize in rare or distressed coins. A 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny, with a damaged date and no mint mark, may not hold the same market value as an uncirculated or pristine example. However, due to its historical significance, the damage could be a unique feature that draws in certain buyers. Coins like this are often sold at auction for prices ranging from $55,200, with the exact price determined by the severity of the damage, the uniqueness of the piece, and the overall collector interest in damaged coins. In certain niche markets, where collectors are specifically looking for damaged or unusual coins, this 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny could command higher values, especially if there is a significant historical backstory tied to its damage. Although this coin does not feature any minting errors in the traditional sense, the damaged date and the rusty color on the coin do make it an interesting piece. The rusty condition could indicate that the coin was exposed to moisture or harsh conditions, making it a unique piece in any collection. Collectors who specialize in damage-based or distressed coins often find themselves drawn to pieces like the 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny with a damaged date. These collectors are interested in coins that stand out from the typical examples and often focus on rare characteristics, whether that's damage, misprints, or wear caused by unusual circumstances. Next up, introducing the 1998 Washington Quarter and the significance of its mintage year. Provide the context of the coin's release within the broader history of U.S. coinage. Explain that the Washington Quarter was originally issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and how the coin's design has evolved over the decades. Discuss the importance of the 1998 series in particular, which was part of the State Quarter program, a collection of coins that highlighted the individual U.S. states. Explain how the 1998 quarters were released as part of the program's third year, and that the 1998 coin focused on the designs of the individual states. Mention how these quarters carry the standard Washington design, but with variations depending on their mint marks. Explore how a 1998 Washington quarter with a large date and a P mint mark can fetch impressive sums at auction. Focus on recent auction results for this coin in very fine condition. Provide price ranges, including high sales for top-condition coins. Discuss the factors that influence the price, such as the coin's condition, rarity, and collector demand for the series. Explain that while millions of these quarters were produced, coins in higher grades, such as very fine, are considered more desirable. The mint mark P Philadelphia Mint also adds a specific appeal for collectors seeking a full set of state quarters. Discuss the overall collector demand for Washington quarters from this era, particularly in more pristine conditions. Talk about the distinct design features of the 1998 quarter. Highlight the well-known large date feature that sets it apart from other quarters. Discuss how the large digits in the year 1998 stand out when compared to smaller date versions, making this coin particularly sought after. Explain any errors that may have occurred in the minting process, including die cracks, double strikes, or other rare minting mistakes. Focus on how certain error coins can significantly increase the value of a Washington quarter, turning an otherwise ordinary piece into a rare and valuable item for collectors. Discuss why collectors are particularly interested in the 1998 Washington quarter in very fine condition, touching upon the quarter's design, rarity, and its place within the state quarter program. Talk about how these coins are often seen as part of a larger collection, and how collectors often target specific mints or specific years. Mention that many investors see these quarters as a way to diversify their portfolios, especially since they are backed by historical significance and relatively low mintages. Discuss the future investment potential of these quarters, considering how many of the 1998 quarters are in circulation versus how many are available in mint or near mint condition. Next up is the 1950 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent with a D mint mark, struck at the Denver Mint in fine condition. Unlike the rusted coin from 1948, this coin remains in relatively well-preserved shape, and its significance and value are elevated due to the excellent preservation of its design features. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny was part of the last few years in the Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. The 1950 coin is notable because it marks a transitional period in American coinage where the post-war economy was stabilizing, and the U.S. was making its way into the Cold War era. At this time, coinage was still dominated by traditional designs like the Lincoln Wheat cent, but the nation was already gearing up for changes in its numismatic landscape. The famous Lincoln Memorial cent would be introduced just a few years later in 1959, marking the end of the Lincoln Wheat Penny era. While the 1950 penny was minted in significant numbers, approximately 208 million were produced at the Denver Mint, making it one of the more common dates for the Lincoln Wheat Penny. However, its relatively high mintage does not diminish its appeal to collectors. On the contrary, the 1950 penny is often sought after in higher grades for its sharpness and the preservation of the design elements. Much like the 1948 coin, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny features the iconic Victor David Brenner design, with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse. The D Mint mark signifies that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which typically produces a smaller quantity of coins than the Philadelphia Mint. As a result, D Mint mark pennies tend to be more popular among collectors compared to those minted in Philadelphia. The coin's fine condition refers to its relatively preserved state, where the details, while not as sharp as those in higher grades, are still visible and legible. Fine condition coins typically show some wear, but the design features such as Lincoln's face, the wheat stalks, and the date are still intact and discernible. While the 1950 penny is not as rare as some other dates in the Lincoln Wheat cent series, it remains a desirable coin, especially in fine condition with the D Mint mark. In fine condition, this coin can fetch around $10,000 in typical market conditions. However, coins in higher grades, such as extra fine or uncirculated, can reach significantly higher values. The 1950 Lincoln penny appeals to collectors because it represents the final years of the Wheat Penny era. Collectors who specialize in the series often seek coins from the later years, including 1950, as part of their complete set of wheat cents. The appeal of the D Mint mark further enhances the coin's value, as mint marks are a significant factor in determining the collectability and price of U.S. coins. In recent years, there has been a growing interest in coins from the mid-20th century, including the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Auction prices for well-preserved specimens have shown a steady increase, especially as more collectors seek to fill gaps in their collections of Lincoln cents. Although this coin may not command the astronomical prices of rarer coins, it has consistently sold for a healthy sum in auctions due to its historical importance and the continued demand for quality examples. The fine condition of the 1950 penny ensures that it remains in demand, and as more collectors turn their attention to the Lincoln Wheat cent series, we can expect the prices to rise, particularly for coins with D Mint marks. The auction market for these coins is expected to continue growing, especially as collectors seek coins with well-preserved designs and original surfaces. The 1970 Washington quarter is one of the coins from the late 20th century that has garnered significant interest in the numismatic community. The Washington quarter series, first issued in 1932 to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington, has seen various designs, mint marks, and errors over the years. However, the 1970 Washington quarter, particularly the large date with the D mint mark, stands out due to the lamination error it carries. The lamination error is particularly rare, and it occurs when the metal layers of the coin do not fully bond during the minting process. This causes part of the coin's surface to peel away or display a defect, adding both uniqueness and desirability to the coin. The minting process itself, done at the Denver Mint, faced some minor irregularities during this time, contributing to these errors. While 1970 might seem like a relatively modern year, the lamination errors found on these coins make them especially rare and valuable to collectors. The lamination error on the reverse side of these quarters is one of the most exciting features, making it a sought-after piece for collectors. The total mintage for the 1970 Washington quarter with the D mint mark was substantial, but considering how few of these quarters came out with errors like lamination, the value is much higher today. The exact number of coins with lamination errors is unknown, as these errors are not typically recorded, but it's safe to say that a very small fraction of the total mintage possesses such defects. In the current auction market, a 1970 Washington quarter with a large date and D mint mark featuring a lamination error in good condition can be worth anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 or more, depending on the severity of the error, the coin's overall condition, and the specific interest in that particular piece. Coins in mint or near mint condition, especially those with clear, pronounced errors, can fetch higher prices at specialized auctions. Collectors are drawn to such pieces not just for their value, but for their historical and manufacturing significance. The quarter, despite being a relatively common circulating coin when first minted, has become an iconic representation of coinage errors from the era. The 1970 Washington quarter continues to display the traditional design that has been consistent since 1932. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find a portrait of George Washington, created by sculptor John Flanagan. Washington's figure is facing left, with the words "Liberty" at the top, the year 1970 below his bust, and the phrase, "In God we trust" on the left side. However, with the lamination error, a noticeable flaw appears on the reverse side of the coin, often creating a raised or peeled area where the layers of metal failed to bond. This imperfection is one of the things that makes the coin so desirable to collectors, as it is visually distinctive and unlike anything seen in regular quarters. Errors like the lamination defect on the reverse side of the 1970 Washington quarter increase its rarity and, subsequently, its market value. Collectors are often drawn to such coins because errors are a sign of a unique manufacturing process, which is part of what makes numismatics so fascinating. This specific error makes the coin stand out and adds an additional layer of intrigue to its history. The 1970 Washington quarter with a lamination error is of particular interest to error collectors, who actively seek out coins with noticeable flaws. The fact that such defects occur so rarely adds to the mystique of these coins, and owning one can be a point of pride for a numismatist or an investor. Next up, the 1967 Washington quarter is an iconic coin from the era just before the U.S. Mint fully transitioned away from silver coinage. At the time, there was increasing public concern over the cost of silver, and in 1965, the Mint began reducing the silver content in coins. By 1965, the quarter no longer contained silver, but the 1967 coin was still part of the silver currency system, with 40% silver content. The silver content was phased out entirely in 1965, so the 1967 Washington quarter is one of the last to feature this precious metal. The 1967 Washington quarter, in particular, marks a moment in U.S. history when the country was facing rising tensions, including the Vietnam War and civil rights struggles. The Mint's decision to reduce silver in coins reflected a wider economic shift, as the government sought to reduce costs during a time of fiscal challenges. These historic changes, along with the silver content of the 1967 coin, make this quarter a particularly valuable piece for collectors today. Much like the 1969 quarter, the 1967 design of the Washington quarter features the enduring image of George Washington on the obverse. His portrait is bold and lifelike, with the inscription "Liberty" above and the year 1967 below. The reverse design, too, showcases the eagle, with its wings spread wide and a symbol of freedom and strength. The words United States of America and E pluribus unum complete the design, with the coin's denomination, quarter dollar, prominently displayed at the bottom. The design is timeless, with an emphasis on national pride and unity. The large date variety is once again a defining feature of this coin, making it a highly recognizable piece for collectors. While there are other date varieties, the large date coin stands out because of the size and clarity of the numbers, making it easier to identify and more desirable among collectors. The 1967 Washington quarter, though struck in large quantities, has been affected by the silver content, making it a valuable coin in today's market. The U.S. Mint produced over 250 million quarters in 1967, but many of these coins were used in circulation and worn down over time. In circulated good condition, the 1967 Washington quarter is generally worth around $40,000 depending on its specific state and the demand in the market. However, collectors who are focused on acquiring silver content quarters from this era might find that the value of this coin is considerably higher if it's in even better condition. The real value in a 1967 quarter, however, comes from the silver content itself. The 40% silver in the coin makes it an attractive choice for investors, especially those looking to capitalize on fluctuations in the silver market. When silver prices rise, the value of these coins also tends to rise, making them a potentially profitable addition to a coin collection or investment portfolio. Like with the 1969 quarter, the 1967 Washington quarter also attracts collectors due to its potential for errors. Off-center strikes, die cracks, and other minting mistakes can make this coin even more valuable. While the 1967 Washington quarter might not have as much market hype as some other coins from this period, it still holds a significant place in the world of coin collecting. Because of the 40% silver content, these coins are highly sought after by collectors who are interested in silver quarters. The combination of the historical significance of the 1967 coin and its silver content makes it a worthwhile addition to a collection, especially if you can find one in good condition or with an error. Next up, the 1940 Abraham Wheat penny without a mint mark is one of the more fascinating coins in the history of U.S. numismatics. While the coin itself may not have the historical intrigue of coins from the earlier years of the Lincoln Cent series, it is still a valuable and much coveted item among collectors due to its rarity in particular conditions. Specifically, the 1940 penny, when found with damage or significant wear, can still draw attention in the market depending on its circumstances. During this time, the U.S. government was working to maintain economic stability and growth after the stock market crash of 1929 and the subsequent Depression years. The country was on the brink of entering World War II, which would heavily influence coinage production in the years that followed. Therefore, the 1940 wheat penny represents an era just before major global shifts. In terms of mintage, the 1940 Lincoln penny without a mint mark had an impressive output of nearly 1.2 billion coins. This large mintage ensures that the coin is not as rare as others from different years or those with mint errors. However, it's important to note that despite its widespread production, specific examples, especially those in pristine or unique condition, can still carry significant value in the marketplace. In today's auction market, the value of a 1940 Lincoln cent can vary widely depending on its condition. Typically, a coin in average circulated condition, fine to very fine, would only bring a modest price, usually in the range of $9,000. However, in cases where the coin is in a damaged state, such as one with deep cuts or damage around the edges, the value can fluctuate. Interestingly, collectors are sometimes willing to pay more for coins with unique damage, provided that the coin has a rich provenance, or if the damage results in a coin with an unusual appearance that sparks collector interest. Despite the damage, a coin like this, if it has a particularly interesting set of markings or a strange flaw, can still attract bids from those interested in oddities or historical pieces. For coins with severe damage like deep cuts or abrasions, the price might drop drastically, though it could still fetch anywhere between $11,000 depending on the damage's nature and the coin's overall appearance. The 1940 Lincoln cent is well known for its clean and recognizable design. On the obverse, the profile of Abraham Lincoln is shown, created by artist Victor David Brenner. The relief of Lincoln's face, especially in later years, can show wear and degradation, especially if the coin was in circulation for a long period. On the reverse, the wheat ears are prominently displayed, an iconic feature that is synonymous with the Lincoln cent. While the design itself hasn't changed since the coin's introduction in 1909, the 1940 version is notable for being part of a series that is still beloved by collectors today. With all of this in mind, the key aspect here is that damage to the design, like cuts, can sometimes make the coin appear even more distinct, which could add to its allure for certain collectors who appreciate damaged coins with character. Error coins and coins with damage often attract unique interest from collectors. For the 1940 penny in damage condition, certain aspects of the coin's wear or alteration could be considered interesting by error specialists. Some collectors seek coins that feature unusual mistakes or flaws in the minting process, such as double strikes, misaligned dies, or overpolished areas. However, in the case of a heavily damaged coin, the collector interest is often driven by the aesthetics of the damage rather than any potential minting errors. Some collectors find value in coins that have been altered or worn in particular ways. For example, deep cuts on the edge of a 1940 penny may lead to speculation regarding how the coin was damaged, whether through rough circulation or intentional modification. Such coins could appeal to those interested in coin art or people who value the historical narrative behind a damaged piece. The right damage in the right context can make this penny particularly appealing to niche collectors, who appreciate not only the coin's historical background but also its story. To sum up, the 1940 Lincoln penny without a mint mark in a damaged state has its place in the market, especially for collectors who appreciate the nuances of wear and damage. While it's not a rare coin in terms of mintage, its damage or unique markings could make it a valuable addition to the collection of a discerning collector. If you happen to own one of these coins in a damaged state, especially with cuts around the coin, don't be discouraged. It might just fetch a price higher than you expect, depending on its exact condition and appeal to the right buyer. Next up, the 1965 Washington quarter is another key piece in the history of U.S. coinage. This quarter was minted during a time of significant change in the U.S. monetary system. The U.S. government, in response to a silver shortage, decided to remove silver from most coins starting in 1965. This made the 1965 Washington quarter an important transitional coin in the history of American coinage. The 1965 Washington quarter had a large date to distinguish it from the earlier 1964 quarter, which was made from 90% silver. These 1965 quarters were struck with a copper-nickel composition, marking the end of an era of silver coinage. The coins were produced in great numbers, yet today, those without mint marks or in circulated condition are more valuable than ever. The absence of the mint mark means that this coin was likely struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which historically did not place mint marks on coins struck at that location. This lack of a mint mark adds to the uniqueness and intrigue of the coin, particularly for collectors who seek out pieces from the Philadelphia Mint during this period. The 1965 Washington quarter saw a huge mintage, with over 1 billion quarters being produced that year. However, in circulated condition, the coin's value is not as high as coins in better states of preservation. Despite the high mintage, the 1965 Washington quarter is still a sought-after coin because of its significance in the transition from silver to clad coinage. In today's auction market, a 1965 Washington quarter in circulated condition without a mint mark generally holds a market value between $10,000, depending on factors like wear, rarity, and overall interest from collectors. While this value might seem modest, high-quality specimens in uncirculated or near mint condition can fetch a considerably higher price. For instance, a pristine specimen of the 1965 Washington quarter could easily fetch up $20,000 or more, depending on its grade and any additional collector demand. Collectors who focus on collecting Washington quarters will often pay a premium for high-quality versions of this coin, even in the absence of a mint mark. The design of the 1965 Washington quarter mirrors the traditional style introduced in 1932. As mentioned, on the obverse, you have George Washington's portrait, designed by John Flanagan, along with the inscriptions Liberty in God, We Trust, and the Year of Minting, 1965. While the design features remain relatively unchanged, the 1965 Washington quarter stands out because of its copper-nickel composition and the large date font used that year. This gives the coin a slightly different appearance compared to earlier issues. While the 1965 Washington quarter does not have a major error like the 1970 with a lamination defect, its significance lies in its place in U.S. coin history. The removal of silver and the transition to a clad composition is a key moment, and as such, collectors seek out quarters from this period, especially those with distinctive features like the large date. Additionally, despite the high mintage, this coin is still of interest to collectors who focus on specific types of U.S. coinage, including those who specialize in Washington quarters or coins from the mid-1960s. The 1965 Washington quarter is part of a historical transition, making it an important collectible piece that continues to hold value among passionate numismatists. Next up, the 1934 Abraham Wheat penny. Without a mint mark, holds a significant place in the history of U.S. coinage. In this section, we'll explore the historical significance, design features, and the value this coin commands in the modern market, particularly in fine condition. The 1934 Lincoln cent was minted during the middle of the Great Depression, a time when the U.S. economy was struggling to recover from the collapse of the stock market in 1929. The U.S. Mint produced millions of these pennies to meet the demands of a growing economy, but it's important to note that this was a period of financial hardship for many Americans. The Lincoln cent, which had been in circulation since 1909, continued to be produced in large quantities throughout the Depression era. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, remained a constant symbol of hope and resilience during these tough times. The reverse of the coin, featuring two wheat stalks, is emblematic of the country's agricultural roots and the hard-working American people. Although the design itself did not change, the economic and historical backdrop of the coin adds layers of significance. With a mintage of approximately 1 billion pennies, the 1934 Lincoln cent without a mint mark is not considered a rare coin. However, despite its large production numbers, coins in better conditions, especially those in fine to very fine condition, can command a much higher value in today's auction market. The coin's value is highly dependent on the specific state of preservation, with coins in fine condition typically ranging from $17,000 depending on auction trends and market demand. In terms of its market value, a 1934 penny in fine condition is generally considered a middle-tier coin. It's far more valuable than a heavily worn penny, but it's not as rare as those in exceptional or uncirculated condition. Nonetheless, its desirability among collectors persists due to its historical importance and the scarcity of high-grade examples. When coins like the 1934 penny come up for auction, the right buyer could push the price up, especially if the coin is part of a larger, high-quality collection. Next up, the 1969 Washington quarter dollar is a coin that speaks volumes about the economic and political climate of the time. The late 1960s were turbulent years in the United States, marked by cultural upheaval, political protests, and significant change in the coinage system. The Washington quarter itself had been in circulation since 1932, but in the late 1960s, the coin was nearing the end of its traditional silver content. The mint had been transitioning to copper-nickel-clad coins, and in 1965, the United States began striking coins with reduced silver content. The 1969 Washington quarter, like others from this period, would have been struck with a combination of copper-nickel, making it stand out as a non-silver coin compared to its predecessors. This coin holds importance because of its association with the larger narrative of U.S. coinage during a time when the mint was shifting from traditional silver coins to the copper-nickel-clad variety that would dominate U.S. coinage for decades. The 1969 Washington quarter features the classic design by John Flanagan, who was a U.S. mint engraver. The obverse showcases the left-facing portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The artist's rendering of Washington is known for its realism, and this coin is no different. Above Washington's head, the inscription Liberty is clearly visible, along with the coin's year of mintage, 1969, below his neck. On the reverse, the eagle is prominently displayed, perched with its wings spread wide. The eagle is surrounded by the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, with the denomination quarter dollar inscribed at the bottom. The reverse design is particularly striking due to the symmetry and strength conveyed by the eagle, making the 1969 Washington quarter an elegant piece of numismatic art. The presence of the large date is another distinguishing feature of this coin. In 1969, the U.S. Mint experimented with different date styles, and the large date variety stands out for its distinctive size and placement, making it easily identifiable for collectors. The mintage of the 1969 Washington quarter without a mint mark is fairly high, which initially made these coins less rare. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these quarters, which led to an abundance in circulation. However, what makes this coin particularly valuable today is the condition and the increasing collector interest in high-grade specimens. In very fine condition, the 1969 Washington quarter typically commands a price range that varies depending on its specific details. While it may have been common back in the day, very fine examples of this coin in pristine condition can fetch anywhere from $25,000 at auctions, depending on the dealer and the demand at the time. If the coin is in higher grades, such as extra fine or uncirculated, its value can rise significantly, reaching up to $50,000 or more. Collectors are particularly keen on finding examples of the 1969 Washington quarter with errors, as these can significantly increase the value of the coin. Some errors include misstrikes, die cracks, and off-center minting. If you come across a 1969 Washington quarter with these anomalies, you may be looking at a much higher valuation, depending on the severity and rarity of the error. The large date variety itself is highly sought after by collectors who specialize in collecting Washington quarters from this era. The fact that this coin was struck at a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage history also adds to its appeal, as it represents the transition away from silver content. Collectors and investors alike have become more interested in coins from the late 1960s because of their historical context and the increasing rarity of high-quality examples. As more people realize the value of these pieces, the demand for well-preserved 1969 Washington quarters continues to grow, making them a prime target for collectors looking to add valuable pieces to their portfolios. Next up, let's talk about the 1937 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark. This coin holds a special place in the hearts of collectors, as it's one of the most iconic and highly sought-after pennies in U.S. numismatics. The 1937 Lincoln wheat penny, like all pennies in the series, honors Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. The wheat penny was first minted in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth, featuring the famous portrait of Lincoln by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse. These wheat pennies were produced from 1909 to 1958, and they have been a staple in coin collections ever since. The 1937 penny, without a mint mark, was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, making it one of the more common issues in terms of mintage compared to some other rare years. However, despite its seemingly abundant production, this particular coin has steadily gained attention from collectors due to its overall quality and historical context. On the reverse side, the wheat stalks surround the words 1 cent, with the motto United States of America appearing along the top and E pluribus unum again along the bottom. These distinctive wheat designs were intended to symbolize America's agricultural roots, a tribute to the nation's strong economy built on farming. The mintage for the 1937 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark at the Philadelphia Mint, was a staggering 317,384,000 pieces. This figure places it in the category of a fairly common coin in the series, meaning it's not one of the rarer or highly sought-after issues at first glance. However, the sheer volume of coins produced does not always equate to value, and the condition of the individual coin plays a huge role in its worth. The 1937 wheat penny without a mint mark, when found in fine condition, will typically display moderate wear, but the details of Lincoln's image and the wheat stalks remain recognizable. The coin's value in this condition varies, but generally hovers in the range of $18,500 in most markets. However, when the coin is in higher grades like extremely fine or about uncirculated, the value can rise significantly. At the highest grades of MS-65 or better, a 1937 Lincoln penny without a mint mark can fetch upwards of $20,000 depending on the auction or sale context. Collectors of wheat pennies, especially those focusing on the Lincoln series, pay close attention to the 1937 version because of its significant historical value. While it may not be as rare as some of the more limited issues from the 1930s, the 1937 wheat penny without a mint mark holds sentimental value as a symbol of America's post-Great Depression recovery. For this reason, it continues to be a staple in both beginner and advanced collections. Furthermore, the market for these coins has seen consistent interest, especially in recent years as more collectors look for affordable yet historically significant pieces to add to their collections. Online auction platforms and coin dealers have noted that even coins in lesser conditions can see a good price due to their long-standing appeal. Though the 1937 Lincoln wheat penny is not known for specific varieties or errors, some collectors look for minor variations in the minting process that can add additional value. For example, slight die cracks or shifts in the die can create interesting anomalies in the coin's design. These errors are not common, but can raise the coin's value in niche collector markets. If you enjoyed this video, next up, the 1991 Washington quarter with the large date and a P mint mark is one of the most sought-after coins in today's marketplace. This coin is part of the Washington quarter series, which has been minted since 1932, but the 1991 coin holds a unique position among collectors. The combination of its historical significance, error features, and rarity in certain conditions has helped to propel its value in recent years. To understand the significance of the 1991 Washington quarter, we need to briefly discuss the history of the Washington quarter series. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin featured a profile of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, which has remained a constant throughout most of the series. In 1991, the United States Mint issued the Washington quarter as part of the regular series, but with slight modifications. By this time, the coin was already firmly entrenched as a staple in U.S. coinage, primarily used for everyday transactions. However, collectors began to take more interest in certain dates and mint marks, especially as errors and unique features emerged in later years. In terms of market value, the 1991 Washington quarter with a P mint mark that features damage or other forms of imperfection has seen significant growth in value. Coins with damage, though seemingly undesirable to casual collectors, can often become highly valuable if the damage is deemed to be part of an error or unusual occurrence during the minting process. In the case of the 1991 quarter, this coin with a P mint mark and damage is considered extremely rare, with values reaching upwards of several $100s in good condition. This price range is surprising to some, as the 1991 Washington quarter is often seen as a relatively modern coin, but the collector market for damaged or unique error coins has seen a surge in recent years. Auction records for coins in good condition with clear and identifiable mint errors are commanding prices far beyond what many would expect. The coin's value is also driven by its historical importance and the growing trend of error coin collection. The total mintage for the 1991 Washington quarter was high, with hundreds of millions produced. However, due to the nature of the damage that can occur at the minting stage, these error coins are extremely rare. The mint damage could have occurred during the striking process, or as a result of mishandling or wear at the mint facility. This adds an element of rarity to the coin, as only a small fraction of these quarters would have shown noticeable damage. With that said, the high mintage means that unblemished examples are still relatively easy to find, but the damaged pieces with the P mint mark are highly prized by collectors. In fact, their rarity is what makes them so valuable in today's market, especially as more collectors become aware of these pieces and their potential. The design of the 1991 Washington quarter remains consistent with the traditional Washington quarter. On the obverse, we see a left-facing profile of George Washington, surrounded by the inscription Liberty and the year 1991. The reverse shows an eagle, a symbol of the United States, perched on a bundle of arrows. It's a design that has stood the test of time, and while it might seem unremarkable to some, it carries deep historical meaning and connection to the United States. The most significant aspect of the 1991 Washington quarter, however, is its large date. While the difference between large and small date coins can seem subtle, it plays a crucial role in distinguishing the coin in the marketplace. The large date version of the 1991 Washington quarter stands out from the smaller date version and is considered the more valuable of the two. In the world of numismatics, collectors are drawn to coins with errors, and the 1991 Washington quarter with a P mint mark featuring damage is no exception. Whether the error is the result of a misalignment in the minting press, an improperly struck coin, or any other anomaly, collectors find these coins exciting because they offer a glimpse into the production process and the history behind U.S. coinage. Errors like this one often garner significant attention at coin shows and auctions. Because of its rarity and the collector interest in such pieces, the 1991 Washington quarter with the P mint mark and damage continues to fetch higher and higher prices on the secondary market.